Welcome to Yeukai Business Show, UK's premier business show where we feature business thought leaders, high achievers, and industry experts. Today's episode is brought to you by World Outsourcing Solutions Limited, a company that specializes in helping executive business owners with virtual assistant services and business growth systems. Here's your host, Yeukai Kechidori.
Hey, welcome back to another very special episode. And today I'm joined by a very special guest, Riina. Now, Riina has worked with James Caan, the ex-Dragon's Den investor, a true entrepreneur at heart. Together, they would invest in startups and small businesses and nurture them into adulthood. She worked as a non-executive director on the board of 14 of his investments. Such a varied portfolio meant that she would come across pretty much every challenge that a business could face. That is from financing, cash flow, growth, turnaround, change management, hiring, firing, and a lot more. Now, let me ask you a question. Are you in a place where you're worried about what the future holds or the next 24 months will be like? Well, if you had that thought or you're worried about that, today we're going to find some answers. Riina, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you, Yeukai, for having me. I'm very honored.
You know, I was so excited when I got to discover that we will be talking to you today because over the last few weeks, a lot of people have been asking us, can you bring us somebody who can talk about the financial aspect, what's going on, and how can they capitalize on the uncertainty that is in the market today. And then you came along, and we are very, very pleased that you are here. Now, for those, Riina, who haven't come across your work, would you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Yeukai. Well, I came to the UK 20 years ago as an international student, actually.
Yes.
And I had luck to work with some of the best people in industry when I qualified with Pricewaterhouse and KPMG as an accountant. And from there, I learned that accounting is not just adding up numbers and being accounting. There is so much more you can do with that knowledge to drive businesses forward. And that was actually the point when I got excited and I said, I want to share this with small businesses. So I was really lucky to get a job with Dragon's Den entrepreneur James Caan. He gave me an opportunity to be his investment manager. And him being a completely opposite character to all the accountants I had worked with, I just learned so much. Together, we invested into so many small startups or established SMEs. And our job was to drive them forward. As in any private equity business, our goal would have been to grow the businesses and then sell them down the line for a good money, and the owners of the businesses as well as our team would get remunerated as such.
Awesome.
And during this journey, we would really face ups and downs of the economy, all sorts of challenges. And we managed to get through them. So it is possible. Anyone who is worried about the current situation, it is possible to come out stronger at the other end, because I've seen it with my own eyes.
Yes. One of the things I love about you is your belief that it doesn't matter where anyone is born from or where somebody comes from. If they've got an idea, they can make it work. Talk to us about your belief around success.
I absolutely believe that if you have a powerful idea, you really deserve the best shot in making it work. There are too many people who are restricted by beliefs of certain class or background, and they restrict themselves and their own opportunities. It's really not necessary. It doesn't matter where you come from. You can make it work if you have the willpower and a good idea, and you are really just connecting with people.
Indeed. And not only that, you learned the whole how to run business from one of the best we have in this country, and you've
Yeah,
gone on
yes,
to
definitely.
and you've gone on to create your business, which you have created success for other people. Talk to us some of the high achievement you've had in your career since working with James Caan.
Yes, I have worked with lots of small businesses and startups, and a lot of the time when people they are specialists in their own area, they obviously cannot be specialists in other areas that surround in running a business, such as marketing or website building or accounting. So that's when the specialists come in, and that's where I help the businesses to, for example, grow their profits by just looking at their cost base and cutting out the nice to haves or what sometimes is referred to as fat in business, really. When there are some expenses, just by shopping around, you can find deals that are so much cheaper and better priced. That way, we saved 25% of the cost base. And another thing that I have done a lot is worked on credit control. People, for some reason, think about collecting their debts as an afterthought.
Right.
But by working proactively, I have reduced debts that were in millions down to just few 100,000, which was the 30-day standard debtor days for that particular business. It took a lot of work. It took quite a long time because some of the debts had been neglected. But cash collection and timely cash collection and collecting in debts has been another big part of my recent jobs.
Awesome. Well, we are truly privileged to have you on the show, and let's dive in to talk about the trends that you see emerging following these uncertain times. Maybe my very first question would be, are there any trends that you're noticing right now?
Oh, there are many. But before I come to the trends, I just wanted to highlight how important SMEs are for the UK economy.
Right.
99% of all private sector business is actually run by small and medium-sized businesses. However, the danger is that the small businesses, they are also more vulnerable to economic shocks.
Right.
Because their cash reserves tend to be less than the bigger companies. They tend to have less resources, and they can also be more vulnerable to supply chain bullying, which is essentially bigger companies as their clients refusing to pay. So there are several things that can affect smaller businesses that larger businesses would be more immune to.
Right.
But on the other hand, smaller businesses also have advantages. They are more agile and they're able to adapt more quickly. And that is the absolute key in surviving in current economy. You need to keep your ear on the ground. Anyone who sleeps under the rock will not survive. You need to keep your ear on the ground and listen to your customers, see what your competitors are up to, and react quickly. Big companies often are unable to do that for many, many reasons. So SMEs have that advantage, and that way, actually, they're able to scoop up the clients of businesses who go bust. So just to look at what actually happened over the last 6 months, it's quite shocking because UK economy's GDP fell 20% in April to June, which is the biggest fall on record. But since then, we have seen green shoots, 6.6% growth in July, and economists are actually forecasting 14% growth in Q3, which will be July to September. So there are positive marks already. However, what we need to take into account is the fact that these green shoots that we're seeing in July and August and possibly in September
Yes.
are fueled by government support.
Right. Clarify
So
on that.
government has spent nearly 190 billion supporting the economy, and that is about to fall away. Also, childcare costs and travel costs were the areas where people saved money.
Yes.
So actually, for example, there is a trend in car sales. They went up 11% in July compared to previous July in 2019, only because people actually had more cash than usual. And construction did really well. Currently, we can see boom in house prices, also fueled by Chancellor's stamp duty holiday. So there are a lot of things that have kind of given a fake boost to the economy in July, August, and September.
Yeah.
But we have to be a little bit realistic as to when that all falls away, especially the furlough scheme. What is going to happen?
Because
there will be a lot of redundancies.
Furlough scheme finished on not too long ago, on the 31st of August, right?
Sorry?
The furlough scheme is...
Yeah, the furlough scheme, we have now partial furlough.
Right.
So it is still partly going on. It's not fully cut off. So some of the things are still available out there. So economists are actually expecting a big impact to be seen in October, November.
Right.
So then we need to think what is actually going to happen when this huge wave of redundancies is going to happen. And where are all these people going to go? What's going to happen with spending and consumer confidence? So I have actually looked at some of the emerging trends, not just over the last 6 months, but over even longer period, because some of the things were already emerging way before COVID, but just needed that little bit of a boost of people changing their habits. For example, I set up my business purely on home working because cloud accounting allows me to work remotely. Yeah. However, when I set it up a couple of years ago, my clients would still want to meet face to face because they would feel more comfortable that way.
Supported.
Now people are getting more used to working from home, working remotely, doing things over Zoom. And that has fueled this whole new virtual economy. But coming back to the trends, I've actually prepared a little list what I think is going to happen.
Awesome.
My personal view is that full lockdown is unlikely to happen again, even though currently we can see coronavirus cases going up. The death rates and ICU admittances are actually lower than in March and April. So I suspect that the full lockdown will not happen again. But people will be more cautious about moving around. They want to stay at home more. They want to travel less. And on top of that, there will be a lot of redundancies. So I think what we will see to happen is a huge increase in freelancing and in gig and platform economy. Right? So gig economy was already on the increase before COVID, as platform like Upwork and Uber enabled it. But after the end of furlough scheme, it might actually be the only work available for many. So new opportunities will rise in home delivery, but also in services like virtual assistants, human resources, coaches, mentors, marketing, website builders, CEO specialists. We will see a lot of them popping up, but because everyone has their own area, there will also be need for these services. So if you think about it, for example, if somebody is now to set up their own business, they will want a website. They will need help with marketing. They will need an accountant. They may need help with HR, because these are all such specialist areas. You can't do everything yourself.
That's right.
And actually, this people who are really good at what they do, they might do better than they did in their full-time job. I actually met somebody recently. She's a credit controller, and she left her full-time job because she says, "Oh, I just found 6 new clients, and I'm making more money than I made in my full-time job, just as freelancer." So it is totally possible. Now, there will be issues with this kind of setup because self-employed and freelancing contracts deny the protection of the traditional employment,
Right.
such as holiday or sick pay. So these kind of things like dry spells, holiday, and sick leave need to be built into your pricing. So you cannot assume that you will work 100% of the time. You might be working 80% of the time. So you just need, or 60% of the time. So you just need to build it into your pricing, just to make sure that you get by.
Riina, just to comment on the gig economy,
Yes.
I have discovered this because we run a virtual assistant company with our team over in the Philippines. Over the last few months, there has been an increase in the interest to what we can provide. And now you are just confirming that things will continue to go that way as well.
Yes, I have. I speak to a lot of businesses every day, and actually, virtual assistants, marketing, digital marketing, and website builders. These are the people I mostly come across with recently. So there is already a lot of competition, and I think there will be even more competition. So it's really important to stand out,
Yes,
to really provide a good service, and also market well, because you can be the best in your industry, but if you don't let people know that you are out there and you are really good at what you do, you have testimonials, you build credibility, it's very hard to get business.
it is very hard. Yes, you have to work very hard for that. But the good news is, when the competition intensifies, if you know what you're doing and you're over delivering on the service that you provide, you will end up with the right people coming into your organization, and you have your repeat customers. And we always teach this in many of our podcasts that we have here. Riina, let me ask you about the mistakes you see business owners make when they see perhaps a new trend coming in, or some of the mistakes you've seen in your career.
Oh, absolutely. There are. So one thing I would encourage new business owners, especially, or any business owner, and I actually speak to my clients a lot about this, is build basic business literacy in your core skills like marketing and finance, even if they are not your key area.
Yes.
For example, when I worked with James, he is truly a salesperson. This is his area. He's very, very good at sales and developing and nurturing these relationships. But he's not an accountant, so he surrounded himself with accountants and lawyers. However, he was very, very finance literate. At the same time, he was able to read his accounts, understand them, because you cannot always have somebody to do the hand-holding for you, even if you have the best team around you. And also, that way, you will be able to hire the best because you know what good looks like. So you cannot, so for example, if you need to hire a marketing executive or an accountant, you will just having this basic conversation about profit and loss, just so you understand where the turnover is, where the expenses are, and what these numbers roughly mean, will help you to grow your business and have an intelligent conversation with your suppliers. And then in that case, nobody can take you for a ride.
Absolutely. I think it was one of my mentor who said you've got to know a lot or just a little about a lot of things in your business for you to withstand the competition and to stay afloat. And again, the good news is it's doable right now at our time. You can hire experts. They will just mentor you on that very quickly, and you'll be able to master those things again if you're listening.
Absolutely. And you know what I have done during lockdown? I found this amazing platform called Enterprise Nation.
Right.
They have a lot of free trainings and courses there just to get the basics, because I did not know much about marketing, for example. So it was one of the areas that I focused on when I was trying to train to basically just how to run my business. There are courses on search engine optimization and various other things, and even the podcast like yours, Yeukai. You always invite such intelligent people, and they share some amazing tips. I listened to your podcast, and I was amazed how much I learned. And these little nuggets that people share will take you out a long way, and actually will save you a lot of money. Another thing that I have seen a lot, which I have already actually roughly touched on, is a weak credit control. Now, if there is no cash in business, the business will go bust. This really is as simple as that. You can make profit, but if you don't collect the cash, you will go bust. It is unfortunately that sad. And especially now with funding coming through quite slowly, it is more than ever important to collect cash from your supplier, from your clients. And there is a lot of supply chain bullying going on for small business. So if small businesses have big clients, for example, and government has stepped in, and it's a whole separate topic that actually, if you go to my website, there is a whole long article about it, how you can manage that cash flow. But in short, it is something that needs to be done every day and proactively. Even at the moment you set up that client relationship, you talk about your terms, you let them know, you make it easy for them to pay you, and you establish that relationship that you are always on top of their list to get paid. Because their accountants or accounts payable team may have a huge list of people to pay to. So establishing that relationship with accounts payable or with the person who is in charge of handing out the cash effectively will help you so much in getting your money paid on time. And there is government help available for people who haven't got paid. There is a small business commissioner who will also help with that. But the best thing to do would be to be proactive about this.
Incredible.
Another thing I have noticed is people who are new to business, they expect that marketing will give results tomorrow, straight away, in fact. And it's not the case.
No. Marketing is a process.
It's a process, and also it can be trial and error.
Yes.
So because even if you employ the most experienced marketeer, it's still a little bit trial and error to see which channels actually work the best. Where does your client hang out? Where exactly? At what time? And what kind of messages they react to? And that actually can take weeks and months before you get amazing results. So just a little word of encouragement is not to give up after first advertising campaign or after first time you employ somebody to help you out, because there might be this element where you spend a little bit of money and it hasn't quite worked out, and you also have to give it time.
Absolutely. Just so for those who are listening, I believe in testing throughout.
Yeah.
And not to put a lot of money into any campaign, but just test and see the result. This is where you have to be meticulous with your data, knowing your data, what is going on there. And again, I don't want to make it look like it's going to be very difficult. There are systems in place now that can help you analyze the results you're getting. If you are in any doubt, you can always join the group and ask any questions. The team will be able to support you. But you have to be persistent as a business owner, especially in the current environment we find ourselves in.
Yes, absolutely. That's absolutely right. And everyone gets setbacks. Even the big and the famous get setbacks.
Yes.
And the key difference between the successful and the less successful person is the persistence.
Absolutely.
And even even when something worked for you a month ago, it might not work this month or tomorrow. So it's again matter of going back and retrying again, because economy changes, people change, there are new products that come out. And as I said at the start of this interview, just keeping your ear on the ground, listening to your customers, listening to your clients, and also knowing what your competitors are up to will help you massively to adjust your marketing and your activity.
Indeed. Well,
another thing, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yes, I was actually reading the data that official national statistics put out, and they said 54% of small businesses have less than 3 months cash reserves. So this is another thing that I really encourage my clients to do, is every time they make profit, be really careful how you spend the money. Because it can all change tomorrow, and always have at least 4 to 6 months cash reserves if it's possible. It's not always possible, but that would be something that I would aim towards at least.
Awesome. Riina, as we come towards the end of our time together, there is a whole lot of learning here that I can see. And I certainly would love to have you back on the show to talk about where people can find loans and things like that, because I understand you also help business owners with that.
Yeah, sure. Loans as well as business plans and investors.
Yes.
I have worked over 10 years with or for investors. So there are very, very specific things that make it work. So what actually works for investors and lenders if you are applying for financing? Awesome. I can actually go through very quickly. It is actually a topic on its own.
Yes.
There are a lot of little details, and what I recommend to my clients is often to prepare at least a year in advance before you start approaching investors, because that's how you get the best valuation. Awesome. But having worked with private investors, for example, for years and years, I know that the certain things that they look out for is a very robust business model that demonstrates proof of concept.
Let's hold it there, Riina. I know people want to learn about this, and we will have another recording where we'll cover this specifically subject. So stay tuned on that one. But for those who wants to know where to find you, where can they find you,
Riina? Sure, they can find me on my website. www.accountsassistance.co.uk.
Awesome. And you've got
on my LinkedIn as well. My LinkedIn profile is there as well. It's Riina Trkulja, Trkulja.
Awesome. Riina, we always want to finish off by asking our guest a personal question on how are you keeping yourself focused in your business in this current environment?
It's my clients who keep me focused. They keep me going. That's awesome. And I do a lot of networking and speaking to clients, and also speaking to affiliates such as lawyers, awesome. Solicitors, HR experts. And I know what's happening out there. So that will keep me going and help me to help my clients.
Incredible.
I get immense buzz out of it when I see, I actually have few startup clients who have recently signed up, and they have done so well since they signed up with me, and their business has just flourished. So, for example, I give you an example of somebody who is a personal trainer. And of course, personal training, that just fell off the ground during coronavirus crisis. So she decided to set up a clothing brand selling sports and loungewear. And she's doing really, really well. And we've gone through a lot of businesses and a lot of tips and how to launch on the market and how to be successful and how to do it low cost. And she's having phenomenal results.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, we certainly need to have you back again on the show to talk about some of the things that you were touching on earlier on. Any final thoughts to the business owners as we conclude here?
There are a lot of success stories out there. And one of the things I would encourage businesses to think about is, what is your passion? A lot of the redundancies will drive a wave of new businesses. The gig economy will grow, but also there will be a lot of product-based startups and new services that come to market. And people who do it with passion and driven by their own self-beliefs will be the most successful. Nobody out there, or most people out there, they don't just have one skill. Most people have interests and skills and personal beliefs that these are behind the most successful brand stories.
Awesome.
And often that's what drives the success and persistence behind making it work.
Awesome. Well, Riina, it's been absolute pleasure having you on the show, talk about some of your success highlights and sharing your knowledge with our audience here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Thank you for listening to Yeukai Business Show. We will be back to bring you more episodes with success stories and advice straight from the experts. Want more? Check out www.yeukai.businessshow.com. Get your free trial of our virtual assistant service today. Just visit www.worldoutsourcingsolutions.com. Quote WOS18 or send us an email at support@worldoutsourcingsolutions.com.